Give us the blueprint of why you are the man for this job.
Well, Maria, we have done several things in our state. Obviously, I'm proud that we've done statewide school choice. I'm the only candidate with an alternative to actually repeal and replace Obamacare. But one of the things I think sets me apart is that I'm the only candidate running for president who's actually shrunk, who's actually reduced the size of government. You may have seen the Cato report that came out this past week. We've got several governors running for president. Not one of them has reduced government. Certainly none of our senators in D.C. has been able to reduce the size of government. We've got a first-time senator that was now elected president. We can't afford more on-the-job training. Here in Louisiana, I've actually reduced my budget 26%. I don't think anybody has cut that much anytime, anywhere in the government. As a result, 8 credit upgrades. We have more people working now than ever before. Top 10 state for private sector job creation. Here in Louisiana, we've got over 30,000 fewer state government bureaucrats than the day I took office. Maria, the reason that is so important is I think we've got a fundamental choice to make. Are we going to grow the private sector economy or the government economy? You can't do both. Hillary Clinton, President Obama, they want to grow the government economy. They want to make the American dream into the European nightmare. We've got to stop that.
Talk to us about why big, bloated government is so bad. You know, when you look at, for example, the regulatory environment, I know from speaking with CEOs and heads of businesses, the real job creators, that when you have an onerous situation where there's too much regulation and the fees and the expenses are such that it becomes an issue for companies, they're going to sit on cash. They're not going to actually hire people and invest in businesses. So what's your answer to why bloated big government is so bad?
Maria, that's exactly right. Look, you've got stagnant middle-class wages. You've got trillions of dollars sitting on the sidelines, record low participation rate in the workforce, record high dependence on food stamps. The left is taking us on the path to socialism. Give Bernie Sanders credit. At least he's honest enough to call himself a socialist. Maria, there are a lot of facts and figures, but when I'm out there in Iowa, when I'm talking to voters, their sense is America is slipping away. Now, the left doesn't want to admit that, but out in the real world, the vast majority of people get a sense that this once great country, the greatest country in the history of the world, they're worried about whether it's going to be there for their children and grandchildren. Look at what we've seen just in the last 7 years. So under this president, we've declared a war on trans fat and yet a peace, a truce with the largest state-sponsored sanction of terrorism. We've got now Obamacare. We're creating a new entitlement program, new dependents, when we can't afford the programs we've got. We've got Planned Parenthood bragging about the fact on videos that they're selling parts of babies and unborn babies and their organs. We've got a Supreme Court that thinks it knows better than God trying to redefine marriage. We've got an open border on the South. We've got the left going after our religious liberty rights. $18 trillion of debt and counting. We have become the next Greece, and there'll be nobody here to bail us out. We're the last hope for the free world. Everywhere you look around us, it just feels like America is slipping away. And I think that folks in the real world get it. They don't want the government to get so big that it swallows the private sector economy through regulations, taxes, spending, and borrowing. That's why if we shrink the federal government, we can actually grow good-paying jobs, help our kids join the middle class.
In terms of foreign policy, and in particular this deal with Iran, at that last debate, that earlier debate a week and a half ago, you said, I have a willingness to say the words radical Islam and fight head-to-head against some of this terrible terrorism that we keep talking about. How do you believe you can, in fact, reverse the Iran deal? I mean, the president has said umpteen times he will veto any challenge, and we know that once these sanctions are lifted on Iran, it's not going to have some snapback situation where they will just go right back. So when you get into office, hypothetically speaking, what do you do with the deal on the table right now in terms of relations with Iran?
Well, Maria, first of all, let's step back and realize we're actually doing a deal with a regime that's chaining death to America. We could be starting a nuclear arms race in the Middle East as the Sunni countries rush to get their own weapons. Amazingly, John Kerry admits that he feels like he thinks the Russians and the Chinese are reading his emails. Well, maybe that's why we got such a bad deal in the first place. Maybe they were sharing his emails with the Iranians. So when you look at this deal, we've got a deal. Instead of going from strength, we're going from weakness. The president himself admitted that he didn't feel like he could put pressure on Iran because he didn't feel like he could get China to continue to impose sanctions because we need China to buy our debt. So the president's admitting that our failure to balance our budget, to shrink our government, is hurting our ability to stand strong on the world stage. Israel, our closest ally in the Middle East, hates this deal. Syria, one of our enemies, loves this deal. That tells you all you need to know. The way to reverse this bad deal is through strength, is going to Iran. Their economy is vulnerable thanks to the collapse of oil prices, and making it very clear to them that America will not allow them to become a nuclear power. We will insist on anytime, anywhere inspections. We will insist they release our hostages. We will insist that they not maintain any of these centrifuges or these enriched uranium, and that every option is on the table to stop them. Weakness doesn't work. Peace through strength actually does work.
And what is the plan to defeat ISIS?
Well, Maria, first we've got to start with the moral clarity and honesty to describe the enemy that we face. It is radical Islamic terrorism. This president's happy to criticize America, apologize for America, defend us against medieval Christians and the Crusaders. We can't beat an enemy unless we define and acknowledge this enemy. We need to take the political handcuffs off the military, train and arm the Kurds. We need to go out there and show the Sunni allies in the region that we are serious about the red lines we draw. They're worried about attacking ISIS if it strengthens Assad and Iran. We need to go to the Congress, take away the ban on ground troops and the 3-year time limit this president put in his authorization of the use of military force. No commander-in-chief should tell the enemy what we won't do. Instead of saying we're going to do everything it takes to win this conflict, let's kill them over there before they can come and attack us here, as they're wanting to do, as they have done. Maria, we should never send our troops in a conflict unless we give them the support, the resources, and the strategy to be successful. I never want our troops in a fair fight. I want them to dominate any potential conflict. And right now, it feels like this president, he has twice admitted he has no strategy. He is simply incrementally increasing the number of troops there without giving them the green light to actually win, to achieve victory. Take the political handcuffs off of our military.
We appreciate your time this morning. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Maria. You have a great morning.
And to you, Governor Bobby Jindal there.